hasn't seen, it's Series 5 or Season 5, depending on what part of the world you live in. Jeannine's holding up her 5 fingers, her 5 spirit fingers, which actually ties into the movie we are talking about today. But yes, it is a new series. If you didn't listen to the last episode, which was our Hobbs and Shaw little sort of it was our Hobbs and Shaw bonus episode to wrap up the Fast and Furious series that we did. Jeannine, basically, well, she told us all what Series 5 would be, what the genre of movies, not a series of movies this time, but a genre of movies, and that is teen movies. So, yay, aren't we all looking forward to that? But Jeannine, we have to start off with some sort of teen movie because we're doing teen movies, so it wouldn't make sense to start off with a sci-fi movie.
No, it would not.
And maybe you did get the clue of Spirit Fingers, but Jeannine, what movie are we kicking Series 5, the teen movie series, off with today?
Today, we are not dropping any spirit sticks. We are talking about Bring It On from 2000, directed by Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed, who went on to do Ant-Man, and you can really tell that he went on to do Ant-Man from watching, this movie about cheerleaders. Because
oh, yeah. So related.
Hell of a lot of cheerleading in Ant-Man. Peyton Reed actually has a fun little cameo in Bring It On as a
mime.
A street mime. That's fun. I was just doing my spirit fingers throughout all of that. Jeannine, are you doing your spirit fingers?
I am.
By the way, spirit fingers is just fluttering your fingers back and forth. And basically, that's it. There's not much spirit to it, as far as I can gather.
Well,
it doesn't conjure some sort of ghost.
According to Sparky Pilastri, there is an art to it.
Well, Sparky Pilastri, or whatever his stupid goddamn name is. I don't pay any attention to him because he was one of about, near enough every character in this movie is some sort of thief. He was certainly a thief.
Yes.
Was Sparky, or a con man, or a strange dance choreographer. But yes, Bring It On. For those who don't know, Jeannine, what is Bring It On about? Why did you feel it so necessary that I see this movie out of all the teen movies ever?
Well, my generation was all about the late 90s, early 2000 teen movies. I have a great love for those silly films. And for our bonus film, we are doing Not Another Teen Movie. So I thought it would only be fair to basically watch the movies that are heavily spoofed in that movie, and Bring It On is one of them. So it's about a squad of cheerleaders who are like champions. This new girl, she's a senior. She gets put in the place of captain. And they're getting ready for the next championship cheer competition before they realize that all their cheers over the years have been stolen by a squad in East Compton. So they get called out by this East Compton squad, and now they have to actually be original in order to win the championship.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. That is pretty much it. We have Kirsten Dunst in the lead role, which is actually fun. I actually thought Kirsten Dunst fit kind of really well. I thought she, when I first started watching this, like the first 10 minutes or so, I thought, okay, Kirsten Dunst, this is some sort of strange, silly cheerleading movie. Does Kirsten Dunst fit? Kirsten Dunst fits really well.
Oh, definitely.
She is appropriately silly. I feel like everybody is well aware of how of this movie's little bit of camp that it's got in there. Just
yeah,
a
like
tiny little bit.
adding cheer into every word or saying they put the this in that. Like she puts the itch in bitch. Like what? She puts the ass in massive. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of
She
stuff
puts
like
the
that.
whore in horrifying.
There is a surprising amount of stuff in that
Cheerocracy.
to do with that.
Cheer tater.
Cheerocracy, which was my favourite one. How do we pick a new member? This is a cheerocracy. Which is... But yeah, it there's a lot of that. So that pretty much tells you the tone of movie we are talking about here. But I actually thought Kirsten Dunst fit very well, and she also played like... Well, I know she can play like a romantic female lead fairly well, relatively well, and she does that again.
Yeah, what did you think of her little romance with Cliff? Which you don't get a lot of characters named Cliff, I don't think.
No, I feel Cliff. When I think of the name Cliff, I think of Cliff Robertson, who played Uncle Ben in Spider-Man.
Yes.
Which is also, there's the Kirsten Dunst reference or linkages. That's the only movie person I can recall by the name of Cliff.
Like, can you really think of a movie character off the top of your head that's named Cliff?
Cliff. I can think of Cliff Thorburn, who was a Canadian snooker player in the 80s.
See, that doesn't count.
I can think of Cliff, who lives on this very street. There is a gentleman named Cliff. That's about it.
Yeah, see?
I don't know. I can think of Clifford, the big red dog.
That is true.
Who would be called Cliff if he was an old man.
Maybe if he turns into the old grey dog, then he'll be Cliff.
Cliff, the old grey dog, the very poorly received sequel to that particular children's television show. But yeah, you are quite right. There is nobody named Cliff in movies. I thought he was okay. To be honest, he wasn't my favourite part of the movie. I don't know who played him. Who was it who played him?
Jesse Bradford.
Jesse, see, I've never heard of
Schmodown.
Jesse Bradford before in my life. There you go, Schmodown.
Yeah, he didn't do very much. He did another teen thriller called Swim Fan, where he's like this awesome swim star at his school, and then this girl gets obsessed with him.
Okay. I mean, he isn't. He's a little bit of. I suppose he's kind of nice, but he's also kind of a douche. Particularly to his sister.
But he loves the Clash.
He does love the Clash, to be fair to him. Me, of course, being such a fan of late 70s British punk, I'm, really, really into that. That's not true at all. I don't want to put that out there. And for people who may be listening to this for the first time, who now think, oh, Morgan, you're such a big fan of the Clash. No, sorry, it's not necessarily my thing there. But his sister, who is Eliza Dushku, or Missy, as her character is, she's the new person in the cheerleading squad, in Kirsten Dunst's cheerleading squad, who was a gymnast. And everybody was like, oh, is this girl really? Because, she's not exactly typical cheerleader person.
No.
She comes in not being all preppy and fun and cheerful. And, I feel like being cheerful is a big part of being a cheerleader. Or at least putting on the face of cheerfulness. Putting on the mask of happiness. There's some depth to cheerleading there's some psychological depth to cheerleading that this movie does not get into, and
But it's
is not the
funny.
point entirely. But it is funny.
It's funny that she joins the team because there's no gymnastics team, but yet you never really see her do any gymnastics ever again beyond that audition scene. Because it's Eliza Dushku, and she is not a gymnast.
No, she's... Although, admittedly, the gymnast who performed the little routine in the audition was most impressive.
Yes, very impressive. And then she could just do her little pop-up and be like, that was me.
Well, yeah, it is very much one of those... oh, now we can put the close-up on. There you go. That's over with. That was Eliza all the way through. Yeah, it was. Promise it was. But yeah, speaking of that audition scene, actually, and kind of throughout this whole movie, very much felt like a musical to me.
Yeah,
it wasn't a musical. It is pretty much in no way a musical, but I think the fact that it kind of opens with a cheerleading number. I don't exactly know. Do you call cheerleading stuff cheerleading songs? I don't know. I'm British. We don't really have cheerleaders. What do you call them?
I guess they're just general cheers or routines, I would think.
Okay, so
I was not a cheerleader. I was an orchestra. I was a big nerd. So, yeah, don't ask me to give you any specifics on cheerleaders.
Well, that's perfect.
I was not a cheerleader.
You have a skill. You played the cello.
And the violin.
And the violin. There
Thank
you
you very much.
You're very good with string instruments. But yeah, maybe it's the fact that it opens with a big cheer number where everybody's doing this routine, and everybody's singing and
introducing themselves.
Introducing themselves. I'm whoever, and I do this, and I'm the best, and people want to touch my ass. Apparently, was a line I think in that song. But yeah, which is a little questionable to open the movie being all like that.
What did you think of it? Like before you found out it was a dream sequence, what were your thoughts when you first saw that?
I actually forgot it was a dream sequence until right this second. It was a dream sequence. It was a dream sequence. I was thinking, oh, so this is a musical then. But no, it isn't a musical. I was also thinking, I must admit, actually, when that whole, because obviously the whole big point of the dream is, oh, Kirsten Dunst is so embarrassed because her top's fallen off in front of the whole school doing the cheerleading routine. Oh, it's terrible. I actually thought that this was going to be more of along the lines of a little, I mean, not an all-out teen sex comedy like an American Pie, but have more of a more of a style of that. After that first scene, that's what I thought, because I thought, okay, and I'm down for that. That's fine. That's not a problem at all. Yeah. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that. So yeah, I just think it's a little weird to open. Well, I don't think it's weird to open up the movie like that. I just think the opening of the movie set itself up as a musical sex comedy, and the rest of the movie was not a musical sex comedy. But it was all fine.
Yeah, but they tell you it's a dream.
They do tell you it's a dream, and that's fine.
Hyper reality.
Maybe I'm just thinking too much. Probably just thinking too much.
So
as
thinky,
I
Morgan.
always.
So thinky.
I'm sorry. I'm used to being stupid and analytical on It's a Wonderful Podcast with occasionally intense subject matter. We do too few truly silly movies on It's a Wonderful Podcast. So Yeah, maybe I'm just overthinking as always.
Yes, maybe just
But
a
no,
tad.
like, the characters do, like, seem to speak in, like, a rhythm as well, though. Maybe it's because they're cheerleaders and they're used to being very rhythmic and having routines and speaking, in some sort of song rhythm.
Yeah, their cadences were very rhythmic and
Yeah,
kind of musical.
general conversations felt, okay, is there going to be a song starting here now? This would usually be in a musical where a song would start. Because in musicals, how does every song start with a bit
Somebody's
of
just kind of talking and
speaking,
then
and then it's rhythmic speaking, and then it's a big whole dance number,
yes, which I think is why I think this actually was made into a musical on like
which
Broadway or
makes all
something.
the sense in the world. That makes all the sense in the world to me, that this was adapted as a musical. But I don't know. I just got those vibes from it, and it kind of made me enjoy it even more. It certainly made it feel very, as weird as it is to say, it had a rhythm to it. It had a beat to it. A very upbeat feeling for most of the movie,
And it should if it's
which
about
was really good.
cheerleaders.
Exactly. So it
Because
makes
they're all
sense.
about pep. Like they used to be called like pep squads and stuff back in the day, right? I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's actually been put in there for a reason. I think it's been put in there for a reason to put some, to make
Everything
us
kind of
all,
have like this underlying like rhythm and
yeah,
pep and spirit.
to make us all have subconscious pep in us while we're watching this movie, because the whole thing feels like one big subconscious
Yeah.
cheerleading routine. And again, maybe I'm overthinking again, but
Or maybe
I
you
don't
just
know.
got the core that maybe not many people picked up on because you're just
Maybe
that insightful
maybe me and Peyton Reed are just
on the
on the
same
same
wavelength.
wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did
So
you have
yeah,
fun with this movie? Did you like the story?
I mean, the story was as typical as a story as I'm expecting with these teen movies, and that's perfect, to be honest with you. Nobody wants a overly elaborate, stupid nonsense big old plot with a teen movie. You're not in there for that. You're in there for the entertainment and the slight bit of drama and maybe a bit of fun and laughs and stuff like that. That's what you watch a teen movie for. You're not watching a teen movie thinking you're watching some sort of heavy mystery. Unless, I suppose, you're watching like a teen thriller. But we're not watching teen thrillers. This is mainly sort of... We're not doing thrillers in this series.
Eh. I think the closest we get to thrillers is maybe Cruel Intentions, but even then, that's kind of pushing it to say it's a thriller.
I mean, teen drama.
It's a more drama.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the story of, the Toros, which is Kirsten Dunst's, Dunsty's, I said, then Dunsty's, that's not a word. Kirsten Dunst's.
Dunst.
That's a horrible plural word to say.
Dunst.
You can't put an S on the end of Dunst and it
Dunst.
sound
And
okay
have it make sense.
and have it make any sense at all. But yeah, their group is found out, obviously, to have been stealing from Gabrielle Union's group from East Compton for the last 5 years or however long they've won the championship for.
Is that what you expected the plot to be?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, maybe not as much stealing, because apparently every cheerleading squad steals from everybody. And there's no originality in cheerleading, which I think is the main message of this movie.
But the
Is
Toros ultimately become original.
They do, ultimately, through, I would say no thanks to Sparky Pulaski, or whatever his stupid name is.
Pilastri.
With the spirit fingers, who is the con man who is selling his services to a number of different cheerleading squads all throughout the California area.
That was so sad that group did that performance before them, and then they go out there, they know that it's gonna be the exact same thing, but they're still just smiling and doing as best they can, and they just, I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, because I mean that happens because there's sort of two little competition things in this. There's this sort of preliminary round of cheerleading, and then there's the big whole national champion. Like I suppose you could call this a sports movie.
You could.
Really, it is a sports movie, isn't it? So there's always some sort of national championship game or tournament, and there is in this as well. But in that first one, like the preliminary thing, is when obviously they really get found out to be doing the same routine as Gabrielle Union's people.
Yes.
And that's where the judges are all shocked and they're kind of all upset, and it looks like, oh no, it's all going to hell. What have we been doing? All our lives have been a lie. And then, eventually, you know what's going to happen. The Nationals come and, we found an original routine and we're going to do it. Yay, originality.
Well, that's where Peyton Reed's mime comes in, because they take inspiration from all different kinds of dance, interpretive dance and miming and musicals and...
musicals. You need a musical.
Martial arts.
This movie
swing
should
dancing.
Be a musical.
So there's a whole little montage of them like taking inspiration from all different kinds of things to come up with their big final original dance. And as an artistic person, a creative person, I really appreciated that.
Is that your favourite part of the movie? What is your favourite element to this movie? I'm very interested.
My favorite part of the whole movie?
What your favourite element to this movie?
I think that is it. Them just coming up with their own thing and then seeing the two final routines between East Compton and them.
Of course, as some sports movies like to do as well, is that Kirsten Dunst's team don't actually win the championship, but they still win the hearts of many for being original.
Yes, and they're number 2, and they're proud of that like them being themselves was still really great. And that a squad
still second in the country.
Yes, and that a squad who never really got their due gets their due, so it's only fair as East Compton ends up winning first place.
They do. And they had their problems too, although there was there wasn't as much of them as I was expecting. There was enough. There was just enough to, get their story. They couldn't raise money to actually go to the Nationals. So Kirsten Dunst actually goes to them and basically offers them sponsorship money from her dad's company or whatever it is. And they don't take that. They want to do it themselves. They get stuff from this talk show, this Wish talk show.
Pauletta's talk show.
Pauletta, I don't know what that is. Is that real?
No. She's supposed to be
I don't know.
East Compton Oprah.
East Compton Oprah, there you go. If it was Oprah, then I'd know and it'd make sense to me.
Yeah, well, no, the whole point of it is that she'll probably help them because she grew up in their neighborhood. She's from the neighborhood they're from. And now she's a talk show host. So they wrote her a letter for their Wish Day episode, and she was able to grant their wish and send them to regionals.
The fairy godmother that she is.
Yes.
So they get the money to go there, and there's
But I
You know,
like
it
that.
start
I like that show of integrity. Like, we don't need your help. We'll do it ourselves. Like, yeah.
yeah, and I like how at the start of this movie, it's very much this rivalry.
Between the
At least from
captains.
Yeah, at least, oh well, a lot from Gabrielle Union's part. There's a lot of hate there because, rightly so, these lot have been stealing her routine for the last 5 years and have won the national championships using that routine.
And you have to think, like, she wasn't the captain at that time. She just had to sit back and go with what the squad did. So whoever was captain was maybe too afraid or just didn't want to, like, make a fuss about it. And she just had to kind of sit back, and to see her kind of sassy, like, personality, who's really protective of her squad, to just to kind of maybe think on your own about her backstory of her maybe sitting back for 4 years and watching this happen. And now she's captain, so she's definitely going to do something about it now. So
Yeah.
to see that kind of determination, if you kind of think about what she's probably had to deal with for the past 4 years, you can totally understand all of it.
Yeah, and she does do something about it. And
Yes.
but what I do like is the fact that they actually grow to have this respect for each other.
Oh
And
yeah,
their
because they
different
realize
ways
they're
of captaining their own
captaining.
captaining. That's a word. Their different ways of captaining their own cheerleading
Squads.
squads.
Yes.
So by the end, it's like, I think what one of the last lines is like, you were good, yeah, but we were better. Yeah, you were better. Or yeah, we were better, or something like that. I was paraphrasing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's respect there between them at the end, and I like that. Because obviously at the start of the movie, yeah, there was this
Some bad blood there.
some bad blood because the previous captain of Kirsten Dunst's squad
Big
had
Red.
been Big Red had been videotaping, had been going over to East Compton, which is, it's not a short drive from San Diego to,
Like
I
100
suppose.
miles.
Yeah, but I mean, to go over there purely to videotape someone's cheerleading routine and bring
I
it
guess
back, just come up with your own.
no, she's lazy. That's why she
That's
puts the
Big
itch.
Red.
That's why she puts the itch in bitch, Morgan. Okay, she puts the whore in horrifying, Morgan.
I mean, okay, but she's the real villain of this whole movie.
She is. So then when she sees them doing that terrible Sparky Pilastree routine at the regionals or
At the-
whatever, she is
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah,
Because she's
she's
like, I
not
handpicked this
happy.
routine for you. I showed it to you. Like, it was, idiot proof. But they didn't want to cheat. So,
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst is like, that was a fake routine. We've already done. We've been doing somebody else's routine. You were a cheat and a fake and a whatever other horrible words get thrown out there in a rhythmic way, because that's what this movie likes to do. But yes, all along while that's going on, we have the romance between Missy's brother Cliff and Kirsten Dunst. Torrance, which is obviously the secondary. You always have to throw a romance in there. It wouldn't be a teen movie if it didn't, and it was
built very well. Like, I thought it was fine. Like, I thought that they took the time with it. Like, normally those kinds of things are really rushed. And I feel like that's how it would really be if you had, like, a little crush on your friend's brother or something. Like, that cute little moment of them kind of, without words, having, like, flirty little looks in the bathroom and brushing their teeth together, and just, like, these cute little flirtatious conversations. And him actually, like, talking to her that he believes in her and kind of giving her these little confident pep talks. And I feel like a lot of that was just a nice build, whereas in kind of teen movies, these like, oh my gosh, I'm already in love with you, things are so rushed. This was like cute, and they took little moments to like have them kind of interact and have these cute little moments together. So I appreciated that. I thought it was really cute, them kind of building up on that. Because, I mean, also, if you think, but she had a boyfriend at the time, so it's not like they could just full on be like, hey. But even just like all that stuff, like when they're doing the cheers and she's like giving them the looks, and then like the girls are accusing her of having cheer sex with him. like,
Which I don't know. What is that? What is that?
Just giving him hot eyes while she's cheering, apparently. I guess, yeah, you're having cheer sex with him.
I mean, it's not exactly a form of sex, is it, that? I mean, looking at someone whilst cheerleading.
Yeah, but you're giving him, like,
it's a little
hot
bit...
eyes.
I still don't agree with the fellow cheerleaders' assumption that this is some form of cheer sex. I'm not about that word.
Yeah. And that's coming from the girl who lets the dude who picks her up stick his fingers in places when.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Like, that was a thing in this movie. Like, oh my god, looking back, I'm like, that doesn't hold up very well. Oh god. I could help it if my digits slip from time to time. Like, what?
No, cut there. No.
Yes. And fun fact, that guy is married to the girl who you will see in Not Another Teen Movie.
See, there's a lot of linkages going on.
Yes. And the kid who plays the little brother in this movie will also be in a Not Another Teen Movie.
So many linkages. There's too many for me. I can't handle it. But you do bring up the fact that there is a little bit of stuff in this that is...
doesn't quite hold up.
Yeah. Doesn't quite hold up.
In today's world.
Frequent casual homophobia, for instance.
Yeah. Do you speak fag? Like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But we look past it. We look past it.
It's a movie of its time.
It is. We can look past that stuff. And as for the romance, you know, I always appreciate a romance in a movie that actually takes a little bit of time to get going, because as we find out quite frequently on It's a Wonderful Podcast, any romance that happens in an older movie happens within the first 5 minutes, even though the people haven't met and they're already, you know, married, living with 2 kids for 20 years.
Yeah.
Within the first 10 minutes. You know, the rest of their lives have been decided upon a single meeting, and that is what movies of a certain era tended to do. So I can appreciate a romance that takes its time, has its flirtation in there, has its finding out about each other in there, and all that stuff. And I think some teen movies do that very well. I think more recent teen movies do that very well.
Yeah. But like, and you could see that happening if, you know, since her boyfriend was a total like douche nozzle, that...
I mean, he was the worst. He did also drive the worst car, and that car would not have looked out of place in the first Fast and Furious movie.
And he was just this weird, creepy Ken doll who wore turtlenecks, and
he did wear turtlenecks, and not nice turtlenecks either. He wore bright red turtlenecks.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, you could see her like wanting to be drawn to a guy who is very encouraging and sweet and kind of different, not as preppy, kind of rough around the edges guy, than her like preppy kind of boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean,
who obviously was ignoring her. Like, she would call him all the time to ask him for help on things, and he would just never be around. So, yeah.
Wasn't he with somebody else at some point as well?
Yes, he cheated on her too. So.
He was with somebody else. It's all what it is.
After he got off the phone with her, he was like, "Oh, babe, that was my sister, but you're not my sister," and then crawls back into bed with this random chick.
But you're not my sister. Does it really?
He lies to the girl. He lies to the girl and says his girlfriend is his sister on the phone, and then proceeds to be like,
he does, but that line is also incredibly strange.
Yeah.
That was my sister, but you're not my sister, so
let's
yay.
get it on. Yeah.
So anyone that is not your sister is now fine by you. Kirsten Dunst's parents also don't like him.
No.
Which
that was a funny setup when he drives up and they're just like, oh my gosh, just remember he's going away to college. He's going away to college.
Yeah. So that one, yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I did appreciate the romance between them. I just felt like it was missing that big romantic gesture moment.
Well, like she grabs like the back of his neck and like pulls him in for a crazy kiss at the end. That was pretty violent, but
you know, there wasn't this big dramatic declaration of love.
Did you need that?
Or I did need that. Or there wasn't this big dramatic realization. I think of Clueless and Cher running down the stairs at Rodeo Drive and going, I love Josh.
And the fountains and all of that.
That is a big dramatic romantic moment, right?
But that was kind of the core of the movie. This movie is about cheerleading. So I appreciated that the romance was kind of a secondary side plot. It wasn't the main focus because that wasn't the focus of the movie.
Yeah.
The focus was the cheerleading.
Trust
me, you will get plenty of that with She's All That. She's All That will be all about focused on the romance and the big gestures.
She's All That is the Freddie Prinze Jr. one?
Yes.
Yes. Schmodown. Yay. Yay for me. Once we're finished with this, I can enter into a 90s teen, or a late 90s, early 2000s teen movie Schmodown exhibition match and come second to Jeannine, but have the respect of originality and doing it on my own, except I didn't do it on my own. I had help from Jeannine. Oh dear, my life is a lie.
So you will love these movies. You will get some Paul Walker.
Paul Walker's back.
He's in two of these movies we will watch. He will be in two of these movies that we will watch.
Well, I mean, two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So much Paul Walker. I mean, fair enough. I, as we all found out, I'm now a fan of Paul Walker, as I'd never seen a Paul Walker movie before we did the Fast and Furious stuff. So, yay, I guess more Paul Walker is good. And and that's good as well. Speaking, like you said, the fact that the romance is the side plot, so maybe it doesn't need a big romantic gesture. You certainly get the big cheerleading gesture at the end, because the performances are actually very impressive.
Yes, and you see all the little inspiration that they took from. They're doing like karate kicks and doing the little mime hands. And yeah, all the moves that they kind of were incorporating in that montage, the swing dancing, like you get to see all of it and their little mix of music. And there is a gesture. Cliff went there and made her like a mixtape of his song. And they put his song into the final cheer. And he was like rocking out to it.
A mixtape is like a tier 3 romantic gesture. That's like a standard that should happen in every movie of this series. You make a mixtape, you take them to the prom when their original crush, the popular football player, didn't turn up. You turn up.
Okay, you will get that all down the line.
you turn up after 40 minutes and take her instead. And then the last one is rigging the votes of the prom to make her the prom queen, and then you go up and kiss her in front of the whole school, and that is how you get a girlfriend in the late 90s. I'm knowledgeable.
Yes, you are. So you will get to see all of that in the upcoming episodes of this series. So just be patient.
Does all
I'm not going to get it all right now.
Does all that actually happen in one of these movies?
Perhaps.
The mixtape, the coming to the house for the prom once the original date stood her up, and the kissing at the prom. All in the same movie? Have I guessed a movie? Have I written my own teen movie? Yes. These movies are so funny.
I'm not going to say exactly that, but you're pretty close.
These movies are so... This is why I like movies like this sometimes, because they're so easy to watch. They're just entertaining.
They're fun and silly.
They're fun.
What was your favorite part? Would you say the final routines as well?
I would say the final routines are definitely the most impressive part. Speaking of the final routines, the and you know, more of the questionable things that are happening in this movie, the announcer person at the National Cheerleading Championships should probably not be an announcer at a National Cheerleading Championships. Because apparently, was it something like, there are 3 things here that I'm okay with, one of them being the short skirts of everyone involved.
Oh yeah, short skirts and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh my god, okay.
It was like, yep, fire him.
They needed the announcer from the football game.
They needed the announcer from the football game, which was by far the funniest thing in the whole movie.
He's like, and now here's your Rancho Carne football team. And here come your 5-time national champion cheerleading squad, the Rancho Carne Toros. Like,
that football
he announces
game.
the football team, and so lame and sad. And they all come out like dropping their helmets, tripping over themselves. Like the band is like, like the band doesn't even play for them. And then when the cheerleaders come out, the announcer gets all pepped up. The band's playing the school song, and here they come, like, because they're the champions. And I love that the football players are trying to make of the cheerleader guys, and then he's like, dude, like, you just lost the game. And then he doesn't know what to say. And the other team's like making fun of them.
That football game is by far the funniest sequence in the whole movie.
When the other team's making fun of them, they're like, and there are your cheer boys scamming on all your squirrel. And it doesn't matter because you don't have dicks anyway. And then they try to break out in a fight.
They try and start a fight. And that goes well because, you know, the football team are that bad. And it's just so funny when the announcer at the football game and the band's just like
yes, and everyone's just there to watch the cheerleaders.
That football team would have 0 attendance if the cheerleaders were not there. And it's just because the cheerleaders are so beloved at this school. The funniest line in this movie was after that game. And it's the last thing the announcer says is, our next defeat is scheduled for next Friday at 7:30.
Yeah, because it's already known this team is going to lose because they suck.
And that made me laugh very hard, admittedly. And I like that. That was very fun.
That was really funny. And then even kind of going at the other squad, like them trying to come at them and telling them they suck, and which they nicely have you suck on their butts.
Oh, yeah.
And then they return with the, that's all right, that's okay, you're going to pump our gas someday.
See, truly, the Toros cheerleading just wins the whole movie.
Yeah.
And, I mean, why do they even they don't have a gymnastics team? Their football team's garbage. What's the basketball and baseball teams like?
Probably not great.
What's their, football, soccer team like? What's their swim team like? Do they not have good sporting facilities at this particular school? This is in San Diego. They should have good sporting facilities.
No, it's all about cheerleading, apparently.
All about cheerleading in San Diego. Which is I suppose is fair when you are 5-time national champs. However, you stole all those national championship routines. And yes. Jeannine, any other nonsense about this movie that you simply have to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered everything. The silly language and the things that don't hold up, the things that are still really fun. Yeah. I loved Gabrielle Union in this movie, kind of being badass and, you know, some great representation, which is something I always look for in movies.
Absolutely. Even though, to be honest, I didn't think we got quite enough of them.
No, ISIS and the squad I could have definitely used more of. We didn't talk about how this has spawned a huge batch of ridiculous straight-to-video sequels.
Well, naturally. I mean, look what the American Pie movies did. They had 5 or however many straight to 4. I want to say it's 4. I have definitely seen them all. I believe it's 4 straight to DVD
Are you
American
serious?
Pie sequels.
Oh, goodness. Well, I can't say the same about the straight-to-video Bring It On sequels.
There is a total of 8 American Pie movies. And yes, I have seen them all.
Not surprising. I mean, they've managed to spin off my favorite movie from the 90s, The Cutting Edge, into like 3 straight-to-video sequels. So if they can do an obscure 90s rom-com, yeah, they could do a big teen cheerleading movie.
I guess it's just cheerleading teams competing over and over again in these straight-to-DVD movies.
Yeah, and it's usually like 2 squads who like hate each other for whatever reason. Yeah. There's always the through line is the connective tissue there.
Is there any more race wars?
No.
Is it fair to call Bring It On a movie about race? No, I don't think it is. I just think one team.
This is not Remember the Titans.
This is not Remember the Titans, which is very Remember the Titans. Great football movie. This is Bring It On, where the ethnicity of people don't matter.
That was early. Morgan hasn't seen.
That was early. That was
that movie.
that was Morgan Hasn't Seen before any inkling of Morgan Hasn't Seen existed.
Yeah, that was the first movie I kind of made you watch that you had never seen before.
Yes. I think it might
unofficially
have been. It was definitely when I was in Los Angeles last summer.
Yes.
Along the same time that I saw the movie Rudy for the first time.
Yes.
And for some reason decided this was going to be my week of watching
sports
American
movies.
Football movies.
And now you're a fan, so haha.
I'm a fan of I am a fan of football movies. I'm a fan of sports movies in general, to be honest. I feel like I still need to watch a lot of sports movies, but I can tick this one off now.
So like you would clearly qualify this as a sports movie.
Oh yeah, because cheerleading's a sport, right?
Yeah.
That would be classed. It has competitions. It's an athletic event.
It
requires. It's as much of a sport as. See, some people have real problems calling certain sports a sport, like darts. Darts is a sport, but is it athletic in any way? No, but does it require technical skill and ability? Yeah.
So that's what makes something a sport.
To me, anything that requires technical skill and ability is a sport.
Okay, well then this qualifies. And you will get more sports when we watch Varsity Blues.
We will, because Varsity Blues is not only a team movie, but it is also an American football movie.
And I believe you get a little bit of soccer, a.k.a. football. And She's All That.
Is there any baseball in any of these movies?
No, I don't think there's baseball.
The only football, and I'm talking about, my football, soccer, that I'm interested in in a movie with the word she in the title is the movie She's the Man with Amanda Bynes.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I know you were very disappointed there were no Amanda Bynes films on this list of teen movies.
Terribly
but you
disappointed.
had seen them all, so they
I
would not
truly
qualify.
I truly had seen them all. I am such a huge Amanda Bynes fan, you don't even know. This is this would usually be classed as guilty pleasure, however I show no guilt whatsoever in my love of Amanda Bynes movies. Very disappointed that she did not show up in Bring It On in any form. She would have been, although she was maybe a little young, but still, you know, she could have been at the audition for the cheerleading and had done something stupid.
That's true.
That was what Amanda Bynes was doing at that point. She was just doing the silly Amanda Show sketch stuff. I know Amanda Bynes' life.
You do, apparently.
But yeah,
I'm sorry. There was no Amanda Bynes on this list for you.
The only football teen movie, the only football, as in my football teen movie that I'm interested in is She's the Man.
Okay, well, you'll get a small scene of football, and she's all that. Suck on that.
Are they terrible?
I believe he misses a goal because he's just very distracted by something that's been going on in the movie. So,
you know, like the start of Superbad, there's that little football game, and where Jonah Hill like boots the ball really far, and I think Dave Franco like calls him out on it. I just remember that because it's football in a movie.
Yeah, so I think you'll get a little bit of football, and she's all that. Nothing near
very?
as extensive as She's the Man.
She's the Man is all about football. That's the point of the movie.
Yes.
Still very sad that there's no Amanda Bynes, but I suppose we will have to deal with that. Jeannine, unless there is anything else that you would like to say about Bring It On. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was kind of exactly what I expected it to be, but that's kind of perfect for what we're doing for this series. If these movies are what I expect them to be, that means they are what I want them to be.
And not another teen movie will like blow up all these little tropes that you see throughout. It'll just be fun seeing them all done in a very silly way with Captain America himself, Chris Evans.
Exactly, we get that silly Chris
and
silly
Schmodown
young
competitor
Chris Evans.
Sam Levine.
And Sam Levine. Of course, we're also getting former Schmodown competitor Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes.
in a movie, and She's All That. So sort of hell of a lot of linkages in these movies because everybody mingles together and is in each other's movies, and it's very it is very fun. But yeah, I really like this movie. Not really much else I can say. It was funny. It was sweet. The cheerleading was legitimately impressive. And it was, exactly what I was looking for. And it's another... Just one
last thing.
thing.
Did you expect the Toros to win?
Honestly, yes. So... I prefer it that they didn't, because I always like it when sports movies, you don't have to win to win the day. It's like Rocky. It's like, I suppose essentially, it's like Rudy, with the fact that he plays hardly any of the game, comes on in the last 10 seconds, makes a tackle, is the big hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always I like it in sports movies when you don't have to win
to learn something or to feel good or
exactly
to still have that same moment. And we didn't talk about the fun little musical ending.
Doesn't that also happen in She's the Man?
I think.
Do they win in She's the Man?
I
don't think they win in She's the Man. No, they don't win. They don't win in She's the Man. The whole point of She's the Man is that there should be there should be women allowed to play. That's the whole point. So
yeah.
that's yeah.
Just warning everyone. I'm thinking every movie we watch is gonna somehow round back to Amanda Bynes. So just be prepared for that.
Definitely.
But we didn't talk about the fun little musical ending with the "Oh Mickey."
Fun little musical ending with Oh Mickey or Hey Mickey or whatever you want to call it. I would you say fun. I say ridiculous. But yeah, I was again. This movie is just a musical. It's a musical in the guise of not a musical. It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
It should be a musical. But no, that was fun, and it left the movie with just the same upbeat cheer that the rest of the movie had, and that's perfect.
Couldn't ask for anything
great.
more in a
Could
movie
not.
of this type.
Could not ask for anything more. And perhaps my most appreciated thing about this is that they had those outtakes and bloopers in the middle of the credits.
You don't need special features for that. Just watch the end of the movie.
Which no movie does stuff like that.
10 Things I Hate About You did that.
Not now. That was 10 Things I Hate About. That was 1999. Not now.
Now
wish
movies.
so much that movies would do something like that.
I like that. Because then you get to see kind of how much fun everybody had making it, and then you kind of enjoy it that much more. I think when you can tell that people have fun doing something, like, you appreciate it more. At least for me.
Didn't Pixar movies from around that time do that as well?
Yes, A Bug's Life, I think, did
Yeah.
it. And Toy Story did it.
Did Monsters, Inc. do it?
Yes, I think they did too. I think.
See, bring back the trope in the late 90s and early 2000s of putting the bloopers in the middle of the credits. Yeah. Screw end credit scenes and mid-credit scenes and that. We need to cycle back. Everything, the time is an endless cycle. And it's time we cycled back to putting bloopers and outtakes. Everybody's sick of end credit scenes. Nobody wants to wait anymore. The MCU has taken over, and people are now...
We don't always need any kind of serious plot advancement. We just need something fun.
Yeah, and that was very fun. And left me with a big smile on my face, which is what the whole movie did. So I'm looking forward to what we are doing next week. Jeannine, do we know which one of these movies we are doing next week?
I believe we'll just go a little bit more serious with Varsity Blues. Because Morgan, I don't want your life.
Well, that's very nice of you, James Van Der Beek, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of James Van Der Beek impressions next week. I'm actually a fan of James Van Der Beek. I like James Van Der Beek.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to watching Varsity Blues, even though we're taking a bit more of a dramatic movie.
Yes. Still a teen movie.
Next week's.
An MTV-made teen movie.
An MTV-made teen movie. This gets even better.
So, yes.
I love it. Jeannine, there we go. That's going to do it for this episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. I have now seen this movie.
Yes.
So yay.
Yay. Do your
celebration.
Spirit fingers,
everybody.
Spirit fingers.
Everybody do your spirit fingers. If you still don't know what spirit fingers are, just move your fingers back and forth really quickly. It's not jazz hands. If you're doing jazz hands, you're doing it wrong. Sparky Pilastri will not accept jazz hands.
He will break a stool in your face.
He will punch you in the back if you do jazz hands.
He will flick your nose.
He will stamp on your little toe if you do jazz hands. He will kick you in the neck if you do jazz hands. Do spirit fingers. Do it now. There you go. Jeannine, what's going on? What are you up to? Where can people find you? Plug away. Yay.
You can find me at Jeannine Devine on Twitter and Instagram. You can check out my silly little articles, Machine Mondays, on triviasd.com. You can check out my TeePublic shop at G9 Design on TeePublic. You can get yourself some machine merch or some Morgan Hasn't Seen merch or It's a Wonderful Podcast shirt. It's all wonderful. It's all great.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see me on the Movie Trivia Schmodown as Jeannine the Machine on Movie Trivia Schmodown YouTube channel. So, yeah.
Where she will bring in all the knowledge of movies such as Bring It On and Varsity Blues.
Exactly.
You can find me, guys, on Twitter at the Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in the because Jeannine.
3 is the magic number.
Or on Instagram at just the Purple Don. You can find the show on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed, and on Twitter that is at It's a Wonderful 1. Use the hashtags Morgan Hasn't Seen or It's a Wonderful 1 to talk about this show or the main show that you can go and listen to on this feed. The namesake, It's a Wonderful Podcast, every Friday, a brand new older movie, pre-1970-ish movie. We make special exceptions for certain movies that are post-1970, such as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is still one of my favourite episodes we have ever done. Not just because Jeannine was on that episode, but also because apparently I do a very good impression of the gentleman who tells the computer exactly what he can do with a lifetime supply of chocolate.
Yes. Thank you for that.
You're very, very, very welcome. But yes, guys, go and check out the main show. Check out all the other episodes of this show, all on the same feed. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, CastBox, Google Podcasts, and various other places you can you listen to your podcasts on. Do the rate and reviewing on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us out and gets us higher up the algorithmical, techness, which I don't understand, but the people at Apple do. So go and do it. And all I understand is that you have to just go and do it. So go and do it. But thank you very much for listening to another episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. Keep an eye out next week for the Varsity Blues. And it's not the Varsity Blues. It's not like a jazz band from the 50s.
Yeah, the Varsity Blues Band. Yeah, no.
Although that would be... We'll have to talk about that next. We'll have to talk about the potential for a jazz band to form next week. So there's something you can get excited for as well. But, guys, until then, that's going to do it. And, yeah, I guess there's only one thing left to do. Jeannine, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.